going to the next question, and this is about handling stress and pressure. So I do want to start by saying, right, and Dr. Nabil, please correct me if you think I'm wrong, if you're of a different opinion. I think that a certain level of stress is necessary in life and in work in general, because without any stress there's no progress. Like that saying, no pain no gain. But it has to be at a acceptable level. When it goes beyond a certain level, it becomes very harmful, right? It becomes very unhealthy for us. Our field, property management, stress is very common. Like, we're living in stress all the time. How can professionals in multifamily effectively manage stress and pressure, both individually as part of the team? Because as we know, right, if you're a pretty even kill person and you're always the person that people want to gravitate around because they feel calm around you because you're always calm, right? But there's another team member that always stresses out about everything. That kind of creates, especially when you're at the top,
Mhm.
especially when you're in a management position. When you're in a management position and you're stressed out, your team feels it. It
Yeah.
goes down, it trickles down. Like, you influence their mood, their state of mind. Am I wrong in saying that? And how does one handle with that? Like, with handling their own, their own stress, their own pressure, and pressure coming from their peers or from the top.
We do need some stress. When you're not under a lot of stress, you're not going to get a lot of performance. For example, if I have a project, if I know I'm going to have a project in 2 years, I'm not working too hard on that if there's no pressing deadline, if there's no abstract needed or an outline. Like, oh yeah, I've got that project. It's on my list. It's low on my list, and so I'm not going to work on it. But if there's a deadline, I need an outline by the end of by 2 weeks from now. Then the pressure gets higher, and so then you start to work on it. So motivate stress absolutely is a motivator. Too much stress can decrease performance. Extended periods of time in that level of stress can lead to burnout. Like, I think my conceptualization of burnout is being in that sense of stress, high level of stress that affects your performance, and you're in that for an extended period of time, like weeks or months. From an individual perspective, it's really about trying to prioritize your work, talking to your manager or supervisor, or really, if we're talking about people who are interfacing with VPs and stuff, really getting clear on what the priorities are so you can allocate resources accordingly. And maybe the monthly report you always do is not as important as this other project that needs to get done faster. And if you're trying to work on both of them at the same time, you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. If you're higher up, can say, no, pick this one right now. We need that one done. That gives you some clarity, right? So I think being clear about what your priorities are, working with bosses to help them understand capacity. Like, that's the systemic issue that we need to address, as well as, do you have the workforce needed to accomplish those tasks? Like, maybe you need more. Maybe there's so much work you need another person finally. And the fact that we're always falling behind and that we're not hitting the deadlines is potentially a demonstration that there actually is too much on your plate. For the individual perspective, I think it comes down to a lot of the coping strategies we've talked about. I would add humor. You're in wild situations at dealing with consumers sometimes, and it's okay to laugh about it. Not on TikTok. Like, don't say the story on TikTok that is identifiable. I can understand and respect when the office door is locked, you get to say whatever you want, and that's okay. That's a safe space.